A while back for a Marvel vs. DC, someone threw out Manhunters and Sentinels. Now, the hardest thing with that is Manhunters are kind of like, Sentinels are kind of like saying Iron Man. Multiple variations and multiple different styles. Now, the Manhunters, of course, were the first Guardians of the Universe style of policing everything. So essentially, think robot with pseudo Green Lantern-esque abilities. They made their ways in the majority of cartoons, normally with the silver face, the red body, and normally blue boots, blue gloves. Ironically, they had actual human counterparts with a very unique High Master-esque council. With that guy who initially seemed like he was a stylized version of Odin. So they actually had pseudo-human controllers after they went nuts and wiped out a whole sector. I actually own the Millennium storyline. Look up Millennium, which led into the first series of New Guardians. Read about it, weep, and then continue. On one side. Other side, you have the Sentinels. Sentinels, depending on what era you're reading, or you either have they're coming from Master Mold, they were the injection of nanites around the time of Zero Tolerance and Bastion, they created by Bolivar Trask, or they're into the very, very far future where you've got the Days of Future Past style where you've got your Nimrods. So look at all three classic types. Your giant X-Men the Animated Series era Sentinel, your Prime Sentinels, which puts you around the Zero Tolerance time, and of course your Days of Future Past, going with the most powerful version, therefore being Nimrod. And I do these through my 9 creator symbols: intelligence, fighting ability, strength, speed, durability, invulnerability, energy protection, versatility, and X factors. So I go through this in all 3 different sequences. And if my camera begins to shift, I'm actually using my phone normally, and it's plugged into a charge. Hopefully it doesn't shift too much. So we can first and foremost with the Manhunters versus the regular gigantic Sentinels. Intelligence. I'm looking at Manhunter programming done by OO, which is more or less designed to be, good guys, bad guys, with a high degree of intelligence when it comes to dealing with other threats. The Sentinels, the more classic giant style, were very much come straight forward at you and more or less overwhelmed with numbers more than anything else. Didn't have a tremendous amount of actual programming to them. So intelligence definitely has to go with a tremendous programming edge to Owen technology, and of course the Manhunters. Fighting ability. Your giant classic Sentinel really was not known for any sort of true fighting skills. So fighting definitely has to go almost by default. Strength. Your giant Sentinels, very, very strong individuals, because that's what they were. They were your gigantic, I think they were 3 to 5 stories tall depending on writer. So gigantic robots versus roughly humanoid size. Speed. You have giant flying Sentinels that didn't fly very fast, didn't fly very far, versus much smaller intergalactic style police force. Durability. Did these guys have any systems recovery? You saw some of that in the Manhunters, almost nothing in the larger Sentinels. Invulnerability. So now I've got something that can take on, a Green Lantern has taken on Superman level characters. It's got a tremendous amount of just ability to absorb damage. Remember back in the day, a Sentinel was beat by almost anybody who had any sort of distance power. So, again, looking at a Manhunter. Energy projection. Again, you have a gigantic Sentinel. They're pretty much known for very, very powerful blasts. So, I'm looking at energy projection versus your just overall raw damage output. And you're looking at things that were destroying buildings left and right, with eye lasers and with palm lasers. So much, much larger orifice for essentially doing your energy discharges. Versatility. And this is a Manhunter. Manhunter definitely had a lot more tools and a lot more skills to bring to the table. X Factor, what really isn't fully realized in this? Well, Sentinels did a great job when it came to learning and adapting. So a Manhunter might destroy the first couple of Sentinels, the next ones that it comes up against are going to be a little bit more advanced and a little bit better adapted to what they're actually facing against. So 6-3, regular Manhunter squad versus gigantic Sentinels, they're pretty much going to get destroyed by the Manhunters. Because you've got one group that has a problem dealing with mutants, another group that has a problem dealing with Green Lanterns. Now I've gone to the Prime Sentinels. These, of course, are humans that have honestly had nanites injected into them that made them essentially sleeper cells that pretty much then brought them to the point where they became Prime Sentinels around the time of Zero Tolerance, which allowed them to do a really good job at neutralizing mutants one at a time. So much more advanced systems. So here we go. Intelligence. I'm still going to give it to Manhunter. Fighting ability. Prime Sentinels were actually pretty good when it came to the hand-to-hand style. Strength. You know, Prime Sentinels, better size, much more maneuverable, but depending on the writer at the time, they really didn't have that much in the way of size advantages. So now I have to go with which one probably was designed better. So I'm going to give strength advantage now to the Manhunters. Speed, still go with Manhunters. I'm looking at who they're keeping up with relatively easily. Durability. Now all of a sudden your Prime Sentinels have a decent amount of recuperative skills to them. They are now actually slowly repairing themselves pretty decently while a fight's going on. So they'll actually be standing much, much longer. And vulnerability. Still Manhunters. Energy rejection. See, now you've gone to a smaller design of Sentinel that loses a lot of its potency. Because now all of a sudden there's a little bit more for think the larger Sentinels. Think your big cannons. These are your giant foot soldiers. Now all of a sudden you got ones that are designed a little more to get in close and kind of be more like a ninja. So they really don't need to have that tremendous amount of damage because they're going to get close and they're going to neutralize your abilities. So energy rejection still going with. Now all of a sudden we're going with energy rejection going to the Manhunters. So also they're a lot more powerful. And now versatility, still sticking with Manhunters. They do bring a lot more tools to the table, just basis their overall technology advances. X Factor, still going to give it to the Prime Sentinels. They're still very good when it comes to their highly adaptive natures. So even though we've gone from the larger Sentinel to a smaller, more advanced Sentinel, certain aspects have kind of tweaked and now fallen into the Manhunter's favor. Now all of a sudden it has a strength advantage, because the Prime Sentinel still has some level of organic tissue to it. So looking at pure Owen metal versus kind of in between cyborg android, depending on writer and depending on how far the transition actually went through. So still 6-3, so we've gone from a giant one getting defeated to a smaller one that's more advanced, still getting defeated. Now here we are. Manhunter, Nimrod. The most advanced class, or one of the most advanced classes when it comes to Sentinels. Here we go. I'm still giving the technology edge and the intelligence edge to the Manhunter. Fighting ability. Now I'm giving this to Nimrod. Because now all of a sudden you have one that's designed for a little bit of both. It's designed to show up, be noticed, as a much more aggressive individual. Strength. Nimrod was actually able to hold his own against Juggernaut. That's impressive. So they'll go one-on-one Juggernaut and not budge an inch. Speed. The Manhunter still has an edge when it comes to speed. And that's just basis the enemies that he's trying to track versus the enemies that Nimrod's trying to track. Durability. This one actually goes to Nimrod. Nimrod at this point in time has a tremendous amount of recuperative abilities. You pretty much have to destroy Nimrod entirely. And once you do that, Nimrod's going to begin the process of rebuilding itself. Very, very powerful. And vulnerability. Now all of a sudden you've got really, really strong force-fielding capabilities. So beyond being made of a very, very strong alloy, you now have virtually impregnable force fields. And now someone's starting to really get some places. Raw energy output, I'm still going to give that to a Manhunter. Manhunter, even though we're looking at Nimrod being much more advanced, Manhunter is still wielding essentially the abilities of a Green Lantern just in pistol form. Versatility. Now all of a sudden goes to Nimrod. Nimrod at this point in time has, beyond all the other regular recuperative abilities, and tremendous defensive capabilities, as well as teleportation. Kind of has a pseudo-backlog of other mutant abilities. Actually has the ability to use magnetics. So it actually has slight short-range magnetic pulses, and the ability to invade and take over other equipment. X Factor. This one goes to Nimrod here. The amount of skill and ability in Nimrod is just ridiculous. That's the reason why Nimrod and Nimrod class are the most destructive and the most dangerous version of Sentinels. You're probably thinking, but Manhunters actually wiped out a whole sector. Yes. When you see the number is huge. And a lot of what they fought were not warriors. And a lot of it was by surprise. Nimrod, around the time of Days of Future Past, is actively hunting the surviving mutants. Surviving mutants at that time were perfectly battle-hardened and was still doing a very successful job. There's Nimrod, mild shape-shifting, force fields, neutralizing abilities, constantly updating, upgrading, and learning new techniques. This thing has got one of the perfect adaptive units when it comes to get hit with something. Okay, how can I modify myself to not be damaged by that again? And of course, the weaknesses that Nimrod had were still too cold. You really tend to not see things of that nature coming out of the Manhunter's arsenal. This man has a lot of tools, a lot of trades, a lot of skills. By taking a few of those units versus essentially the absolute master class you can do with a Nimrod style, that is one of the epitomes of what Marvel is able to do in the world of androids, and robots. But I'd probably say Nimrod would do a pretty good job against someone like Vision. I don't know. Would Nimrod do a pretty good job against like Amazo or Amazo? I don't know. That could easily be another battle. I do, of course, have 2 more weeks in this month. Part of me has got the idea of having kind of like maybe like a RoboCop or a Ron the Space Knight or a Death's Head 2, or maybe Borg versus Daleks. I haven't quite figured out my last 2 fights are going to be. Maybe I might have to do a Nimrod versus Amazon. I don't know yet.